Comes to assessing movement quality or working through an injury, it helps to take your movement temperature. Are we running hot, angry, sensitive to set it off, or are we cold, cranky, stiff, guarded, slow to warm up, or are we just right? Because that temperature tells you a lot about what your tissues need, and to actually take your movement temperature, most practitioners use a framework called SENS. And a quick note before we dive in. SENS is a clinical reasoning tool. It's how practitioners think through what their patients or clients need, and in this video, I'm simply sharing it as education, not as medical advice, so you can understand what's going on in your body and be a more informed participant in your own healthcare. Now, one thing before we dive in, there are a handful of symptoms that would mean this framework is not your next step. Instead, a physician is. These are the following symptoms I want to rule out before you continue watching this video. If you have any numbness in your groin or saddle area, changes in bowel or bladder control, night pain that doesn't ease regardless of how you position yourself, fever, chills, or just feeling unwell along with your pain, unexplained weight loss, a major trauma like a fall or a car accident, or pain that keeps increasing no matter what you do, stop watching this video and go get checked out by a doctor first. I'm not trying to fear monger you, but you're likely dealing with issues that the recommendations I make in this video will not help. It's just the right order of operations. Go get checked out. For everyone else, let's go ahead and take your temperature using SENS. And if you haven't guessed by now, SENS is an acronym and it stands for Severity, Irritability, Nature, Stage, and Stability. Let's start with severity. Severity is how high your temperature is running, how intense your symptoms are, and how much they're limiting your life. Notice what I didn't say there. I didn't say severity is how badly your tissue is damaged. And here's why. Pain and tissue damage don't always match. Some people have horrible MRIs yet feel completely fine, while others have beautiful imaging and are suffering with horrible pain. Now, I'm not saying tissue damage doesn't matter. It's really important. Your muscles, ligaments, tendons, discs, cartilage, and fascia each have their own spectrum from mild to serious in terms of how badly they're damaged. But grading those injuries is your practitioner's job, with hands-on testing and sometimes imaging. So you can't really feel a grade of injury that you're experiencing, but what you can measure is impact. And that's what severity is talking about. So ask yourself, how strong is the pain when it shows up? Is it 2 out of 10 or an 8? Does it stop you mid-activity or can you keep going? Does it wake you up at night? Can you work, walk, sleep, and live around it? That's severity, and it shapes your whole rehab plan. It shapes what modalities we use, which exercises, how hard, how often, how long each session runs, and how we progress it. Irritability is how easily your temperature spikes and how long it takes to cool down. Does it take a lot to set your tissues off, or does it flare up easy? And once it's stirred up, does it settle in minutes, or are you suffering for the rest of the day? High irritability means it fires up fast and takes forever to settle. So a little bit of the wrong movement and your whole day is ruined. Low irritability means it takes a lot to provoke your tissues, and even then, they calm down pretty quick. That tells you how much work you can do. Irritable tissues need lighter, shorter, more frequent sessions, small doses they can actually tolerate, whereas calmer tissues can handle more load and longer sessions, and you don't have to be as careful. So if you remember one thing that the I stands for in SENS, it's that irritability sets the volume knob on everything you do. Nature asks what's actually making your temperature run hot. Is it a tissue issue or is it a nervous system sensitivity issue? So sometimes the pain is coming straight from the injured tissue. It's something physical getting stressed when you move. That's tissue driven. The pain is proportionate to the injury. It follows a predictable mechanical pattern. It stays local to where you hurt, and it responds to rest, unloading, and time. It makes anatomical sense. But sometimes the tissue has already healed, and your nervous system is just sending an alarm of pain anyway. It's gotten sensitive, and it's amplifying everything. The pain feels bigger than what's actually going on. It doesn't follow predictable patterns, it spreads beyond the original spot, and it gets worse with stress, poor sleep, or things that shouldn't stress the tissue at all. It doesn't make mechanical sense. So when it comes to nature, ask yourself, does the pain follow the rules of loading and healing, or does it feel bigger and more unpredictable than the injury? If it's the tissue, then we want to work with the tissue. But if your nervous system's gotten sensitive, we need to calm it down with progressive movement that you can tolerate, build your confidence back up, and potentially use different modalities to help your nervous system desensitized. Stage is which phase of healing your tissue is behaving like. And we categorize tissue healing in 3 big stages. Stage 1 is what we call the angry stage, and it's typically called the acute stage. And here, the tissue is irritated, it's reactive, and it's guarded. Stage 2 is the repair phase. Sometimes we call it the subacute, and it's where new collagen is being laid down, but it's thin, it's disorganized, and fragile. Stage 3 is the remodeling stage, sometimes called the chronic tissue healing stage, and that's where collagen is maturing and aligning to the stress you place on it. And remodeling can go on for months. So that's chronic tissue healing, which is different than chronic pain. We'll dive into that in a different video. Now here's how we read which stage you're in. And it's not the calendar. It's where in your motion the pain shows up. So quick vocabulary lesson. If you take a joint through its full arc of movement, I want you to pay attention to the very end of that arc. That is what we call the end range. Pretty simple, right? And a gentle extra push past that end point is called overpressure. So if pain shows up early in the motion, well before you get anywhere near end range, your tissue is behaving like stage 1, an acute injury. And even if you've had that pain for months, the calendar does not get a vote. We're not going to treat it like a chronic injury because it's behaving like it's acute. So tissue that hurts early in the range is acting angry, right? We're going to treat it as acute, and we get really good results treating it by how it behaves rather than how old it is. If the pain shows up as you approach or arrive at end range, then your tissue is behaving like it's in stage 2, the repair phase. And if the motion's clean all the way through and it only talks to you when you add stretch with a little overpressure at the very end, that's stage 3, the remodeling stage. Now each stage means your tissue can handle different amounts of load, different intensities, and frequencies. So it's going to help us know which exercises or modalities we need to use to help your tissue heal. Stability is which direction your temperature is trending. Are you feeling better, same, or worse than when you started? So if you're improving week to week, then your fever is breaking, so to say. We're on the right track and your tissue is responding really well. If you're the same, then you might be stuck in the loop, you've plateaued, and we need to change the approach. If you're getting worse, that's a flag we're doing either too much or the wrong thing, and we need to pull back and reassess. Stability tells us whether the current plan is actually working or whether it's time to pivot. So as you probably noticed as I was speaking, severity, irritability, nature, stage, and stability aren't isolated pieces. They overlap and they paint a full picture of what you actually need to get back to movement you love. So let's recap what we've learned with SENS. Severity is how high the temperature is. How strong is the pain and how much is it limiting your life? Irritability is focusing on how easily it's spiking and how long it takes to cool down. Nature is asking what makes it run hot. Is it the tissue itself or a sensitive nervous system? Stage is asking what phase of healing your tissue is behaving like based on where in your motion the pain shows up. And stability is asking which way is the temperature trending. Better, same, or worse. So what comes next? Well, I think the best next step is to take our SENS questionnaire. I'll put the link below, but it's a movement temperature screen. It gives you a rough estimate of where your temperature sits, and hopefully it's going to line up with what you're actually feeling. And if you're looking to work with us at SoftWave, you can head to our website at softwavebymolotherapy.com. But if you're on MoloTherapy schools page doing a rehab course, take the questionnaire regardless. It's going to give you a much better idea of which rehab course fits you based on your results. And just remember what I said up front. This is education, not a diagnosis. The best thing you could do is bring this language to a trusted practitioner and tell them your severity, your irritability, where in your range the pain shows up, and letting them confirm where you actually land and what your next best step is. Now, go take your temperature with our questionnaire. We'll see y'all in the next one.